Can you imagine Obama surviving all of this suspicion and fitna? It's because the Zionists have a plan. Their plan is working 100%. They're the ones that put Don in there. They brought Donald Trump in there. What was his mission? Destroy the Democratic Party, split it up like it is now. That's something I want to say now. These seem like nice people, but you don't know who put them in there. You just don't know. Homeboys sit, strolling around and immigrant, and we make you want to be big. Yes, fine. All you got to do is go in. Of course, I wouldn't say that. The Zionists plant people years ahead, decades ahead. Some of the books that we've read about Zionists say that there's the Mossad contact doctors in all the area. So if something go down, one of them, the doctor will agree to break his oath. His oath is to turn in all the people who do this, that, and other, right? And this doctor is committed to Mossad. What kind of doctor is he? He's a Zionist doctor, right? And he's activated only when he's needed. He could go make the rest of his life and not do nothing for Mossad. That's how they think, way ahead. This election was a golden opportunity, the last one. Now you got to look at it the way it is. If the Democrats are split between young and old, fresh and this and all of that, right? And the Republicans, why would a Republican president keep talking about John McCain? Why is he doing that? That's somebody that all the Republicans like. They love John McCain. But John McCain probably picked up on who it was. You ain't for no America. Right? Some of the others picked up, but they don't care. They want to get feather their own nest. They don't care about America. So now, you just take the 2020 election. If Don got his card carrying 35%, dumb white folks, right? And then the election roll around and he blows it up to maybe 45% or something like that. If the other people are divided, he goes home free. Right. He goes home free because he's divided the Republicans. Remember, the Yahoo don't care about none of them. He's divided the Republicans and he's divided the Democrats. I mean, today, the Democrats, that unity they had a month ago, they don't have that now. Although there's a semblance of a boycott of AIPAC, but look what AIPAC done. AIPAC walked away from all the Democratic stuff, everything, right? I mean, AIPAC then jumped on the treaty, 5+1, whoever that was, JOP, all that stuff. Donald Trump closed the door on that. Yesterday, Donald Trump told Kim Jong-un, oh, don't you worry about a thing. No, y'all see that in the paper? I didn't see that. No, there's no, whatever. He's talking about the sanctions and all that. He lightened up on Kim Jong-un. He said, oh, don't you worry about a thing. Yeah, it's right there. I'll show it to you when this thing is over. Kim Jong-un lightened up on the Chinese. Why is that? in the future, he could have already made the deal with Kim Jong-un. Hey man, y'all like to play, we're gonna play this to the bus stop, right? We're gonna have this friendly talk, then we're gonna get mad at each other and walk away. But just before the election, I'll call you when it's time, and you start talking friendly talk again. And then after the election over, you can go to hell. I don't care where you go, or I don't care about no nuclear weapons on this thing. I have me big money, big billions, right? What I should have had all the time. It's all arranged. Now, when you think of the Zionist, if you think this stuff is not important, then you think, who has a history of this type of behavior? Controlling and manipulating the environmental circumstances, and also developing a picture of what they want and then doing it. The Zionists been on their job 100 and something years ago. When they bought the New York Times, by that time all the advertisers were Jewish in New York. Guess what they did? They pulled their advertisers. The New York Times took a nosedive and they bought it for little or nothing. Then the Jewish advertisers come back. They bought it for 800,000, I don't know, whatever it was pennies. That's what they do. Same thing, the Graham family used to own this Washington Post. Always. Crackers used to own this, white folks. Good old red-blooded crackers. You know, Indian killing, nigger hating crackers, they used to own that. But you know, them people are a little easier to deal with than the Zionists, because both of them got their stuff in mind, but one thinks even further ahead than the other. That's because of his environment. He always been, you know, kind of stuck out there. But I tell you what, you look at, we'll just do this one right here. Palestinian issue. Is it true that Natura Carta International supports Palestinian sovereignty over all the Holy Land? Our answer is unequivocally yes. However, this answer requires some prior explanation. We are an anti-Zionist, orthodox organization. Our quarrel is with Zionism, exists in many levels. First, by establishing a state in Palestine, which is forbidding according to Jewish laws. It denies the divine punishment inherent in the Jewish people's exile, and seeks to remedy what is essentially a spiritual state by this worldly means. Second, it has devoted much of its energy to the uprooting of traditional Torah faith. Third, it has committed a grievous moral evil in its treatment of the Palestinian people. This goes on and on. But part of what it says here, my task today is to speak about Judaism and Zionism. At first, people had an idea about the difference. Later on, the Jews were saying Zionism is Judaism. Right? And the people wouldn't know. I'll just kind of speak triumph of falsity. I'll give you one of these, maybe you can copy a few of these. This is Rabbi David Weiss. Some of their followers, they probably passed away now. They had tattoos. I think he's Hungarian, but they had tattoos from the Zionist camps, you know. You know where they used to tattoo their number on the Jews. You know, I asked him about wudu. I said, we make wudu before praying. Do you guys do something like that? He said, yeah. He said, in fact, one of the first programs, I think I'm mentioning it halfway correct, in Poland and those other places during the Black Plague, he said, because we were washing and we had very small deaths and the other people was mad at us, they thought we did it. The Black Plague, the bubonic plague that swept through Europe in the 1400s, they thought the Jews put something on them because the Jews washed all the time. Just like we make wudu, before prayer, they do a washing too, and that cleanses them, purifies them. I asked Davud Weiss, I asked him what their position on Jesus was. He didn't answer, and I didn't ask again. You know, if he wanted to answer, he would answer. You know, I'm not going to substitute what I think he would have said either. But now, if you want to think who has done things like this before, if there's a crime in the area, if you look at 911, you said, who did stuff like this before? You would say the Israelis. Lucy Adas was an Israeli. She owned the apartment where the brothers were staying. You know, the Arabs. And the minute the building come down, she was on the next Air Israel flight to Israel. She was gone. You couldn't question her. Couldn't do nothing. She was gone. But some of the paperwork was still there because the rental agreement and this and that, right? So if you go back in certain types of history and you want to see who has a history of doing this thing, and not only who has a history, who has the ability, who has the ability to shut down all the airports, who have the ability to shut down, I don't know whether it's NORAD, Conrad, all of them, right? Who can shut all of that stuff down so them jets can fly around? You can fly from Boston out for an hour and then fly back. But the white man in this little other plane that was flying along, and I guess he died and the windows fogged up, and they had scrambled some jets on him in a hot minute. They followed him till he crashed in a private plane. But all of a sudden, they telling us that they let the jets fly out of down to Dallas and fly out of Logan up there. And they fly out of here. They flight pattern, they fly out, then turn around and go back to New York. Bull crap, that's a lie. Who had the ability to do that? Any excuse they give us is a lie. We had a test that day. You had a test, my foot. You ain't had no test, right? You were told to do that. Who had the ability to tell the United States to stand down? Musa, the Israelis, that's all. Who would benefit from this? Remember, that's how you solve a crime. First, you don't have no idea. Well, let's look up the record. Who did stuff like this before? Who raped little girls? Who did this? Who did, right? You might get lucky the first time when you look over the records. You say this job fits so and so's. there's 10 people out there, this rape, this murder, this what's the name, fit their profile. So now it's just a thing of numbers. Oh, he died last year. Oh, he was in Canada. Oh, but there's 4 left. Let's look at them even closer, right? That'll get you started. That's the history of it. But who had the ability to do it? Ability is next. Who had the ability? Most of the things that happen in the United States and around the world, the Muslims don't have the ability to do them. They just don't have the ability to do them unless they set up. Now, who would benefit? This normal crime, just normally regular crime solving stuff. Who would benefit? You know, if the uncle died, he had a will, well, who looked like it was funny stuff going on. Well, who would benefit? Right? So you got all the relatives, oh my goodness, here's so-and-so. Had a secret insurance policy on old Uncle so-and-so. Well, I'll be doggone. Suspect. Who got the most? Oh, so-and-so got the most. So now you're getting suspects. It don't have nothing to do with person I like so-and-so. This is a crime pattern. So all of this stuff happening in the Muslim world, who would benefit? Look at it. We got old-fashioned, bodacious colonialism, where they don't have to say, we're raping Africa because old Leopold, the Belgian Congo used to be owned by one man. The whole Congo. That's probably the biggest thing down there. The Belgian Congo, King Leopold, Union Manier, they was just scraping it dry, getting rich. And one man owned it, the King of Belgium. That's why they call it the Belgian Congo. He owned it. The whole thing. Not that the Congo, well, Sudan is one of the biggest countries down there, but the Congo is rich in minerals and everything else. I don't think there's nothing that Congo don't have. The Congo is rich. That was bodacious colonialism. This is worse. This is worse. This is modern times. So, the U.S. goes and invades Iraq. Invade Iraq. Why? Because the man is independent. And the Zionists know Gaddafi is independent. No matter what else he is, he's still independent, right? So he's a threat to our security, he's a threat to everybody. So we got to get rid of him. But before that, they went to Iraq. They had no-fly zones, they had everything. Talking about weapons of mass destruction, no such thing. They can lie and lie and lie, and there's no consequences. There's no trials, there's no nothing before the world court. None of the things that the U.S. did and Europe did, including Gaddafi, including Iraq, they're still in Iraq now. They got 17, 18 years in Afghanistan. Why? They don't have to explain nothing to nobody. Right? There's no UN. They right now talking about we're going to do this and that to Venezuela. Because Venezuela is bad. Venezuela happened to be pretty good. Venezuela ain't nothing like they're saying on TV. But now, when Hugo Chavez was there, he had a program of helping Latin America with oil. they boycott oil. They boycott the place and they say, you're not helping the people. So take the boycott off. Yeah? You want to help the people of Venezuela? Why are you boycotting it? You take it off as soon as your man get in. Because he's a stooge. Do you recognize this syndrome around America and around the world?
Definitely.
If you don't go along with us, we gonna get you.
And if you help your people, we gonna get you.
You better not help your people. We're given a political analysis, a historical analysis, so I'm not going to talk about anything personal, except we get Zionist American messages, Saudi messages, all day, every day, over and over again. Now, so who had the history? Who had the ability? Who would benefit? These are all simple questions. There's something else that I'd like to mention as we're passing. Does anybody remember the politics of heroin in Southeast Asia? Or the Golden Triangle, they used to call it, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam? The Golden Triangle. Anybody remember Madame Nou and the ZM regime? 63, 64, 65. They were the biggest heroin dealers in the region. Heroin production increased in Afghanistan 500%. That's since the U.S. is back. No matter what the Taliban did, they had it down, they broke it down. Anybody remember the French Connection? French Connection, Turkey, Marseille, USA, French Connection, or Iran. During the Shah's time, Ashraf, the Shah's sister, ran the drug trade. Iran, Turkey, they're right there together. You get killed doing it inside Iran, but if you sending it out over here to America, Iran, Turkey, Marseille, France, French Connection. Okay? Afghanistan. Remember last week we talked about 7 U.S. bases in Colombia.